Yeah.
And until recently, the idea was the portion size, the bigger the portion size, the more the customer will be pleased. And we're beginning to see a reversal in that. But the restaurants are on the horns of a dilemma, because if they say small is beautiful, they're not going to get their profit margin.
Right.
Or they'll be told that, what are you trying to charge us for?
Right.
We can do this ourselves, and so on. So there's got to be some kind of emergent culture here, I think.
And I think that's absolutely correct. I think we're one of the few countries in which we, when you go to a restaurant, you get as much food as you do. Most European countries and things like that, they don't serve food in an abundance amount like we do in America. So you're absolutely right. I think that anything we do in life, we have to do it in moderation. And it's all about proportion. And you're right. People don't realize it, but in exercise, and even to get the body where you want it, 50% of your results is going to be based on nutrition. So I don't care. You can exercise 8 hours a day, but if you're not eating properly, you're not going to get any results.
I want to hear about what eating properly is, but let's come back to what you said about the benefits of exercise rather than just looking for the feel-good factor. I got to tell our audience a joke from, I can't remember the name of the cartoon for the moment, but one of those cartoon strips. These two guys are talking, and one of them says, you want to go jogging, you get a jogger's high, and you just feel this fantastic feel-good feeling. And the other guy says, well, when do you get this feeling? And the guy speaking from the bathroom, smoking a cigar, he says, now. It's the afterwards, It's the not doing it is the real fun.
Right.
But, so what are the benefits of exercise?
I would think the most important benefit is health-wise. It has a tendency, people have cholesterol problems, high blood pressure, just a lot of different issues. You can actually cure that without medicine by just exercising. I know for a fact, and I've seen it happen 100 times over, is that if you exercise, it will improve your cholesterol level, it improves your high blood pressure. It also improves the way that you feel about yourself, and it makes you more conscious to what you put into your body, and that's very, very, very important. The body's a temple of God, so you must make sure.
That's a very important point. So I remember one time I went to a Methodist church and was doing some work with the people that were trying to, and the preacher was a man like me, only twice as round, and he stood up and he said, I know you're all saying that we should exercise and eat well. And he said, and I don't do any of these things. But that was all he could say. He just tried to laugh it off, but it's not really funny.
No, it's not.
Some people will say,
excuse me,
it's an offense against the beauty of creation that God gave us, right? And it may be that someday we're going to analyze this from the point of view of gluttony, the 7 deadly sins,
exactly.
Lust for food, gluttony.
You're absolutely right.
We can do that, and I can see this turning into a whole series necessarily because we've got so many people to teach, But these benefits would include weight loss, right? So somebody says, I want to lose 50 pounds or 30 pounds, they eat 6 times a day and they go to the gym. Well, is that possible? Is it real?
But that's a misconception too, because depending on their body types, it's not really so much about the amount of weight in which you lose, it's the amount of body fat that you lose. If you're a big boned individual, you have 230 pounds of pure muscle, such as a lot of these guys do that play some sports, they're not more prone for heart disease because their body fat percentage is at maybe 8 to 10%. But now if you're at 230 pounds and your body fat percentage is at 38% fat, then you got a problem.
How do you deal with that?
I would think the most important part of it, like I said before, is going to be nutrition. You need to really proportion the amount of calories in which you take in. It's called create what we call a caloric deficit for yourself, and to not just sit down and have a calculator and count the amount of calories in which you take in, but make yourself a little bit more conscious to the amount of calories in which you take in. So eat smaller portions.
So I guess there is one good thing about this. You can say, I am responsible for myself. At the end of the day, I know that in Japan they have this thing called dojo ethics. You go into the room with the mat, and nobody can blame you for what you do. It's your own body, your own time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a kind of place to grow up, really, the gym or the fitness club. What phrase do you like? Do you like to call Miko's, a fitness club, a community?
Yeah, I think that the thing that interests me the most about Miyoko's is that it's very family-oriented. And I think that it is a place in which we are servicing the community. Where I call it, we're saving lives. We really are. There's a lot of people coming here that have some real serious health issues. And you know what? I've sit there and I've had to really not push, pull, or pry, but I've had to sit down and spend a lot more time with people to tell them the benefits of exercising. And by doing so, they've actually started the regimen of exercise, and from doing that, they actually end up, helping
Save
them.
their lives.
Yeah, exactly. Feeling a lot better about themselves, cutting their blood, getting their blood pressure down, and things like that. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Just a
Let me turn this off.
That's one of those, what they call a takeout, like a Jackie Chan movie where they fall on their face,
Yeah, no kidding. Okay.
That's my fault. I should have warned you about that. Okay. So I like very much the idea of saving lives. And as a part-time chaplain, I understand how important it is to give people coaching and say, hey, on my plane of things, I say to people, hey, your soul is trying to flourish. You want to live here. Now, this is a kind of mind, emotions. But what we're talking about here is the function of a fitness trainer, almost as a lifesaver, a life giver anyway.
I would think that it is. It really is.
Is there a kind of
runs parallel.
Is there an association of fitness trainers nationally?
There's a few of them, actually.
I thought you might say that. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that sometime. I want to move on, and we've got a little bit of ground to cover in our remaining time. When I try to understand my body, which is extremely difficult for me, it's still a complete mystery to me. I think about things like, do I have big bones or small bones? Is it sort of genetic? And there's no doubt that some ethnic groups tend to be, let's say, pear-shaped, and some tend to be apple-shaped.
Exactly.
You start from a certain position, but then once you've got that understanding, you can work things out. But you still got to work out. You've got to have specific goals, it seems to me, about this muscle group and that muscle group. But what about metabolism? This is a very hard thing for me to understand. Can you help me? I don't know, is this about rate of processing or something?
It is. It's rate of processing fats within your system, the rate of the body to absorb nutrients, and it's a lot of it is based on genetics. The other is based on youth. So you'll find that young kids have a tendency to have a fast metabolism, that's why you rarely see young obese kids.
Yeah.
Now, in our culture, in our country, we're seeing more and more today because of nutrition. Exactly. But they have a higher level of testosterone, which allows them to burn fat a lot quicker than somebody our age.
I see.
So, yes, that is very important.
And metabolism can be boosted by exercise. I don't know quite, is that the right word?
You're absolutely right. If you start to increase your activity, you will start to boost your metabolism, because people don't realize it, but as you start to increase activity, you will start to increase your metabolism, which will allow you to, even when you're resting, you'll be burning calories, when you start to exercise.
Yeah. Well, it seems that understanding the body, we kind of grow up and we think like we know ourselves. But I had a friend who said to me, when the ancient Greeks said, know thyself, what they really mean is you need to know what every organ in your body does and what it needs, what is the liver and what is the kidneys and so on, So a fitness club is really a kind of a laboratory of education about one's own physical instrument, right? Temple of the body.
Yes, it is.
And Miyoko's, you have a lot of yoga classes and things as well, right?
Yes, we do.
So it's a sort of blend, right?
Yes. Again, because it's called exercise.
That's a good point. Yeah. Maybe the scholars need to think more about that, the exercise. So one thing we know, and I know personally, having been on, as I like to say, I've dieted for 40 years and lost half a pound, but I gained 2 back afterwards, And it's been proven pretty much that dieting as such doesn't work. The idea of just cutting down food, because the body seems to act like it's on a starvation regimen, and then it just bounces back.
Well, that's part of it. The other part is that people, when they start a diet, it's something that they're not able to do the rest of their life, and so you're not actually changing your lifestyle. You're not developing or accepting another culture. You're actually, what you're doing is you're taking Peter to pay Paul. So people have a tendency to really just go on what they call a no protein or no carbohydrate diet, where they just starve themselves from carbohydrates. Now, of course, you're going to lose weight, but you're not losing good weight. You're losing lean muscle. You're losing some body fat, because you're actually right. The body goes in what we call a starvation mode, and when you get to that point, it starts to take from the muscle opposed to from the body fat. So that's totally correct. So that's not the way in which you want to lose weight.